Imagery is very powerful. For us, it comes naturally. When we hear something on the radio, or we hear a story that someone tells us, or we're reading a book, and we read about something that transpired, immediately we try to create an image in our mind that helps us understand, that helps us make us feel that we're there, so that we can truly understand what happened and internalize the message that we're trying to learn and take away from the story that we're hearing. The same is true when it comes to learning Torah. We create somewhat of an image in our mind of the stories that we learn, the stories that we hear of, so that we could try to understand them better and understand the details of the stories to be able to heed their lessons. And many of the images that we create when learning Torah, when learning in particular Sefer Bereshis, are images that it can become very creative in our minds. And some of those images are difficult for us to digest and create. One image in particular, which is very, very difficult, is the image of the brothers throwing Yosef into a pit. Here, brothers who were to love each other seem to be hating one of their own. Immediately afterwards, the image that we create of what the brothers did right after they throw Yosef into the pit is perhaps even more disturbing than throwing him into the pit in the first place. The brothers move away from the pit enough of a distance so that they don't have to hear, or maybe they did hear, the cries of Yosef. And it says, Vayeshev lecho lechem. They sat to eat bread. And while they're sitting and eating bread, one of the brothers, Yehudah, the leader among the brothers, speaks to his fellow brothers and says, we shouldn't have our hands be full of the blood of Yosef. He says, Ma betza, what are we going to gain that we kill Yosef? V'chisinu es damo, and that we cover up his blood. So let me tell you what I think. Let's instead sell him. And if we sell Yosef, what will end up happening is, he'll be away from us. He won't bother us anymore. We won't have to worry about it. And we won't have to be the ones who have the guilt feeling that we actually killed him with our own hands. The other brothers agree. Yosef is subsequently pulled out from the pit. He's sold to the Midianites. They bring him down to Mitzrayim, and the rest, of course, is Jewish history. The Kotzker Rebbe tells us that the words that came out of Yehudah's mouth were very powerful words without him even noticing. Had he noticed those words, he would have stopped his brothers from proceeding. The words v'chisinu as damo and cover his blood were a telltale sign that what the brothers were doing and were about to do was wrong. Because says the Kotzker Rebbe, whenever you need to use the word let's cover something in a negative way, that's a red flag. That's a stop sign. It's a red light that we don't go through to say to us, stop. If you need to cover something, that means that we don't want somebody else to find out about it because we're embarrassed of it. And certainly we don't want Hashem to find out about it because we think we're doing something wrong. And so the lesson, says the Kotzker Rebbe, is that we constantly have to have in our mindset that if we ever use the word or think of, how am I going to cover this so that no one finds out about it, then we need to take stake of what it is that we're doing and make sure that we're not doing something that is completely wrong. It's about having a moral compass. It's about being able to identify and say, hey, I can't go there. I need to stop myself even though for some reason I'm being driven in a certain way because what I'm about to do is wrong. And if I do something that's wrong, I'm ultimately going to make a chilul Hashem. I'm going to desecrate God's name, which is the opposite reason that we as a people are in this world. In the last number of weeks there have been too many, even one was too many incidents in which the Jewish community, the Orthodox Jewish community, has been given bad press. Bad press because there are things that are alleged that are illegal or morally illegal to have taken place within our community by certain individuals. That has created a terrible chilul Hashem, a terrible desecration of God's name, where we have become fodder for the rest of the world to say, look, here are these people who are supposed to be an exceptional people, who are full of morals and ethics and values, and for some reason, some of them just missed it. They went through the red light. They missed the stop sign. They didn't see the red flag. Says the Kotzker Rebbe, we need to learn the lesson of Yehudah. If we ever think that we need to cover something in our minds, we have to stop. Stop and think about what it is that we're doing. Think about the consequences of our actions, and think about whether others find out about what we're doing, if they will look at it in a positive light or in a negative light. Will they look at it as something that we are setting an example for other Jews and for other people in the world? As Hashem promised Abraham, we would be a light unto the nations? Or are people going to look at us negatively because of what it is that we're doing? If we learn the lesson of Yehudah, then we'll really make sure that our purpose in life, that our mission as individuals and a nation will be secure, in that the dream that Avram had of having children who would be so great, not only in number, but great in character, will be a lesson that the world will be able to learn from. Thank you for listening, and have a good Shabbos.